Hello YouTube, my name is Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty World at War playing the campaign because the campaign is very integral to the topic that we're going to be discussing today. That topic is something that we learned recently, that the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 versions of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 will only feature the multiplayer and zombie modes and will not in fact feature the campaign. We learned about this a couple of days ago, but of course I've been kind of busy with a schedule of videos here on my channel, as well as I've just been very busy in real life, way more busy than I usually am. And so as a result, I was not able to cover this bit of news when it came out, but I wanted to cover it today, as well as expand upon it a little bit with a lot of other games that have gone along this same route, in that they're basically becoming multiplayer only games. So the official statement that was put out by Activision states, the Black Ops 3, PS3, and Xbox 360 versions will feature multiplayer and zombies gameplay only, not campaign. The ambitious scope of the 1 to 4 player co-op campaign design of the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC versions could not be faithfully recreated on old generation hardware. So what a lot of us initially thought was, when they talked about the idea of having 1 to 4 player co-op campaign, right? The last time we saw this, I think, was in Call of Duty World at War, which ironically is the game that we're playing here in this video. It really didn't see a lot of people playing it, and they of course want to expand upon it a lot. They want to make it so it's an actual very fun co-op experience, which co-op anything is generally a fun thing, but a lot of us kind of assumed that, yeah, the 1 to 4 player co-op campaign was probably not going to be in the 360 and PlayStation 3 versions, but the campaign itself would be there, right? They wouldn't just not ship the game without a campaign. But it looks like that's exactly what they're going to be doing, as well as they have been stripping a lot of features for the 360 and PlayStation 3 versions of the game. We already know that there's going to be absolutely no esports support whatsoever for those consoles, as well as the paint shop, the create a camo that we saw in the beta, is not going to be featured on those platforms as well. They definitely seem to be stripping a lot of features away from the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions of Black Ops 3. You have to wonder, are they going to be giving us a price drop as a result of this? Now, I'm somebody that doesn't really play 360 a whole lot. I don't own a PlayStation 3, I do own an Xbox One, and I do own a PlayStation 4, but I rarely play my last-gen systems anymore. I really don't have a need to. Any game that is kind of exclusive to those consoles, I can generally play on the PC. You know, games like Borderlands 2, which I guess now is also on the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 4 with the Handsome Collection, but games that I used to play a lot, like Call of Duty World at War here, for example, and stuff like that, over on the Xbox 360, I can generally play that on my PC with way better graphics, way better performance and whatnot, so there's really not a lot of reason for me to hook up my 360 these days, with the exception of Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which I've been playing a bit more recently. Even someone like myself that really doesn't play a lot of his last-gen systems, even I say, you guys are really getting a shaft when it comes to this, because they're really stripping away a lot of features, and I would say that they're probably going to be giving a price drop, and I've actually done a small bit of research here. If you actually go to GameStop.com, and if you actually want to get Black Ops 3 for the 360 or the PlayStation 3, it was originally $60, but they now actually dropped it down to $50, and I have to wonder if they're going to drop it even below $50, because we can all agree that the multiplayer experience that we get in Call of Duty, and the zombies experience especially, are pretty good experiences, and it's actually generally worth your money. You know, the idea of spending $60 on a Call of Duty game, you at the end of the day are spending pennies per hour of playtime, because there's a lot of replay value in a Call of Duty game as compared to maybe like a single player only RPG game, you know, something along those lines. So you can definitely get a lot of bang for your buck when it comes to Call of Duty, but $50 for what is going to be a port. We all know it's being developed, Black Ops 3 that is being developed for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC versions first, so we know it's going to be ported over to those systems. They know they're going to be stripping away a lot of features. You have to wonder, are they really going to continue with this $50 price point? Would they be dropping that down to perhaps $40? I don't think we'll ever see Activision dropping a Call of Duty game, especially a new one, down to $30. That just seems a little bit absurd, whereas they still sell some of the very old Call of Duty games for at least $20. So I don't picture them dropping it to $30, but I can see a world where maybe if the initial sales of Black Ops 3 on last-gen hardware is not very good, they may actually drop it down to $40. We'll definitely have to see about that, but it's interesting that they're so willing to cut out the campaign, because Call of Duty is a game that generally has a very good campaign. And while it's not usually the big selling factor for us here on YouTube in our own little niche market that we have have here, right? We as in the people like myself and people like you guys that watch my channel, generally we're there for the multiplayer, we're there for zombies, we're there for the extra game modes that are there. We're not generally there for the campaign, but I would estimate, and this is just completely off the top of my head, I'm completely taking a shot in the dark here, but I'd estimate that probably 90% of us, myself and those of you guys watching that video, have played through the campaigns of every single Call of Duty game that we've played, because it's fun to go through the campaign. And it's always a little off-putting for me when you play a game that doesn't come with a campaign. You look at Titanfall, that's a game that didn't come with a campaign. They had a really ham-fisted game mode in the multiplayer where they would make it so you could kind of experience the story a little bit by having some voice acting and some people popping up on screens talking to you while you're trying to play, and you can never hear them over the sound of the game actually happening anyway, so I have no idea what's happening in the story of Titanfall. But there's also a bunch of other games that are games that are going to be coming out, as was games have already come out, that are essentially multiplayer only, where they just kind of skip the campaign. Evolve is a good example of that. That's a game that was multiplayer only. You really didn't get to flesh out the story of that world because there was no single player campaign. Some games that are going to be coming out, Star Wars Battlefront as well as Rainbow Six Siege, are also going to not be having a campaign mode. They're basically going to be multiplayer only games. And there's one thing I learned from Titanfall, which I don't have a ton of experience in the realm of playing multiplayer only games, I suppose. I mean, I do play some multiplayer only games, like Heroes of the Storm is technically a multiplayer only game. League of Legends is a multiplayer only game. Like most MOBA stuff is multiplayer only unless you're facing the AI, but there's no real story mode to speak of. Generally, when I play games, there's a story mode. And what I like about games with story modes is it kind of fleshes out the universe a little bit. One of the off-putting things for Titanfall for me was we're playing there. I wanted to learn about these factions that we're fighting. Like, who are these Spectres? How did they come to be? Why am I in this Titan? Who made this Titan? What's the backstory behind the three different versions of these Titans? Of course, you had the speedy one, the average one, and the big bulky one. Like, what are the stories behind these things? What's the story behind this city that we're in? Why are these things flying around? I like knowing the backstory of things. In a lot of respects, I'm a huge lore nerd. I like knowing the backstory and like the history of what's happening, even in video games, even in fictitious universes. I want to know the backstory. I want to know what's happening here. Why things are the way that they are. I'm really looking forward to a game, Fallout 4, that's going to be coming out, because that game is going to have a lot of backstory kind of built into it. I think it's going to become a point where I'm going to be kind of like looking up all the different kinds of research and stuff on that game. Like, I'm going to play Fallout 4 and there's going to be references and stuff in there, and I'm going to want to learn more about the Fallout universe, which I haven't really spoiled myself whatsoever to the Fallout universe. I play a little bit of New Vegas, but I don't know too much about it. I didn't get very far into that game, so I'm looking forward to that game. I'm looking forward to learning about the backstory and how everything's going to be happening there. And there's a ton of story, which I've already read some of these online, about the stories of the different vaults that are in Fallout and all the experiments that were happening in all different vaults. I like when there's a lot of backstory and when there's a lot of lore, and have a multiplayer only game and you don't have the context of what's happening, it's a little bit off-putting, I would suppose. People that play on the 360 and PlayStation 3, they're going to be playing Black Ops 3 on their systems, and they're not really going to have an idea of what's going to happen. I mean, sure, it's kind of good, and it sounds evil and corporate greedy stuff, I know, but like my Let's Play, I'm going to be doing a Let's Play of the Black Ops 3 campaign. Chances are that's going to be getting a lot more views. I think just in general, like campaign videos for Black Ops 3 are going to be getting a lot more views, because there's going to be a giant number of Call of Duty fans out there that aren't going to be able to experience a campaign by themselves because they don't own an Xbox One, a good gaming PC, or a PlayStation 4. They still own a last-gen system, and as a result, they can't play the campaign. If they want to have context and kind of see what's happening in this universe, like what exactly is going on in Black Ops 3, who are all these specialists? They all are said to have their own backstories. Do we get to experience those backstories? All those Snapchat stuff that they gave us in with this big marketing campaign, right, where they had us adding Snapchats, which they initially put the Snapchat stuff for us to add Call of Duty on Black Ops 2, which was only available on last-gen systems. Like, you're getting all these people that are playing a last-gen system interested in the campaign of Black Ops 3, but they're not going to be able to play it? Like, think about that. They put all the Snapchat stuff on Black Ops 2, a last-gen game, and so all those people added the Call of Duty on Snapchat. They saw all the Snapchats, which are all going to be part of the campaign, and the campaign's not even going to be available for those systems. That's definitely not a very good thing, in my opinion. I wish it would be something a little bit different. I wish they could somehow fit the campaign on there, but it just goes to show that as years go by, the hardware that we have to work with the 360 and PlayStation 3 is very old and outdated hardware. They've been saying it for years that they've been squeezing out every little drop of power they can from these systems to try and deliver you the best games that they can, and if they want to continue to expand in these games, they are going to have to stop being limited by the 360 and the PlayStation 3 versions. And how they're kind of going about that is they're doing whatever they want to do with the game on the current consoles, the Xbox One and PS4, and of course the PC, and they're basically giving the last-gen users a very stripped-down version of that. So that's kind of disappointing, but I wanted to hear what your guys' opinion is in the comment section below. What is your opinion for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 users not being able to experience the campaign and the story of Black Ops 3? Do you think it's necessarily worth it? If you want to break it down for kind of like a money standpoint, you look at a $60 game, how much do you think the multiplayer is worth in a $60 game? How much do you think the campaign is worth in a $60 game? And how much do you think zombies and whatever extra stuff they have in there is worth out of a $60 game? And do you think for $50, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is going to be worth it for the last-gen users? Are they going to be paying $50 for only multiplayer and zombies? Is that worth it without the campaign in there, or should they drop the price even more? Let me know your opinions on that in the comment section below, and of course your opinions on the idea of multiplayer-only games that really don't have campaigns, because we've had a couple that have happened in the past, Titanfall and Evolve are two that come to mind, and a couple that are going to be coming out in the future, Star Wars Battlefront and Rainbow Six Siege. So let me know your opinions on that. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Remember to leave a rating. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.
Where's the fireworks?
Tell me those charges weren't duds.
They better not be.